Welcome down on the field here at Qualcomm Stadium, the first of our 619sports.net postgame field reports for the San Diego Chargers 2011-2012. Craig and Dan here with you. Seahawks win, I guess, 24-17. I mean, really, honestly, after the first quarter, who cares in the first preseason game? Chargers first-team offense, 10-play drive, looked great their first time out, Dan.
They looked absolutely superb. I think the most important thing there is Rivers got the ball into a ton of key players' hands. You saw Matthews converted a third down. Tolbert Upland got the touchdown. Jackson got the big drive. Corey Sperry, who's looked absolutely phenomenal as a third-string tight end, converted a big first down there. So a lot of good things on that first drive.
You know, what stands out to me, obviously, is the big bomb to Vincent Jackson. And with Randy Moss now retired and out of the National Football League, Vincent Jackson, I think, has a chance to become the preeminent deep ball threat in the NFL. You could even see it in subsequent plays after he catches the big pass, how the defense has to try and find him on the field. It's going to really open things up for this offense, having VJ there from week one.
Well, and if you have a healthy Antonio Gates, who I spoke to a couple days ago, and said he really honestly believes he can start the season 100% healthy, or if not, a Sperry or a McMichael, but ultimately Gates there, it just looks like this offense could really score it well. Almost kind of reminds me of the 80s Chargers offense, the early 80s.
Well, Ryan Matthews, of course, is going to need to have a big year to do that. Didn't see too much from Ryan today. One catch out of the backfield for 9 yards, one rush for 1 yard where he really got the backside of the play wasn't well blocked, and the guy came from behind and got him. I just talked to Ryan in the locker room, Dan, asked him about that swing catch, and Ryan said, hey, I thought I had good hands last year too, but make no mistake, this is going to be one of the big keys for the Chargers offense. Darren Sproles was the leading receiver on the team in terms of receptions last year, so you got to have someone out of that backfield that's able to catch the ball on third down.
Absolutely, and that converted a first down, that 9-yard reception, so that's key there. And Rivers said earlier in the week that replacing Sproles is not an easy task. It really will almost be done by committee because Sproles did so much in those third down packages, whether it was catching the ball. He was also a great blocker despite being a little mighty mouse. He was able to get in between, a defender and the quarterback, and that's something that Matthews has to greatly improve upon this year.
All right, now what do you think about the last three quarters of this game, Dan? One of the big storylines that comes out, kickoff return for the touchdowns, for the Chargers for a touchdown, 103 yards. Brian Walters, kid out of Cornell. We ever going to see this guy again?
Well, I had put a Raptor report up right before then that Walters had a 25-yard return and said, man, this guy's doing everything right in camp, but he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most experienced of about 9 or 10 receivers who are vying for 5 or 6 different spots. Then all of a sudden he has a 103-yard kickoff return. But even Norv didn't really seem to indicate, yeah, this definitely means this guy's on the team. I think he's back to the practice squad, or maybe he's really helped his cause in making another team. Because every time you play here in a preseason game, you're auditioning for the 31 other teams as well. But I think what it really does is it gives Vincent Brown some notice. Hey, he's had that hamstring. He hasn't been on for over a week. He doesn't have a roster spot guaranteed. He needs to come out here and compete for a job.
San Diego State fans don't want to hear that, Dan. They want Vincent Brown to have a guaranteed roster spot, but he's got to get out there and play a little bit better pass rush on the defensive side of the football for the Chargers. And again, I struggle in the preseason, Dan, to make any real cogent assessment of anything because who's to say that Seattle has any idea what they're doing yet offensively? They got a brand new quarterback, got a brand new offensive coordinator. They got new players up and down the line, so it could just be helter-skelter for them.
I agree, but I do have one major concern coming out on the defensive side of the ball. I really only saw Cam Thomas in there on the third string. He may have been in there and I missed it at other times, but I never really saw him do anything impactful. And here's a guy that was drafted last year to come up and snuff out that run, be an impact-type player, and here he's playing a third string in his second year in a preseason game and isn't doing anything. I think there's a bit of concern there.
Corey Liuget did have a tackle for loss in his Chargers debut. By the third quarter, everyone was kind of in snooze mode, and by the middle of the fourth, really people were rooting against the Chargers tying the game because overtime was the last thing anyone wanted to see. All right, that's it. One preseason game in the books. We got the Cowboys coming in town pretty soon. That could be exciting, but you know what? I'm just going to reserve all judgment till they actually kick this thing off for real. Craig and Dan down here on the field. We'll talk to you later on 619 Sports.